Welcome back. This is week 19. The year is 1990. For me, the year that everything changed. So a difficult year to capture in a single record. I'm going to try my best, but sadly, I think for some of you out there, my best just ain't going to cut it. Nonetheless, finding that sweet spot between where I found myself and the music that best encapsulates that very specific moment in time was actually pretty easy. So let's get going. This was the year I turned 18. I passed my A-level exams, no problems, and went to college, to university. So the year I left home, and holidays and family visits aside, I never went back. By the end of 1990, I was a different person. This was a year when live music was everything, and the musical landscape of that time, indie, dance, grunge, shoegaze, hip-hop, meant that I was open to and experiencing a huge range of sounds. My mate Wilf and I had been hitting Cardiff that year. We went to see They Might Be Giants earlier in that summer, June I believe, and then Sonic Youth again on the Goo Tour later in September. But those two shows were just the bread. The filling, the meat came in August that year when we both headed off with a borrowed tent to the Reading Festival. Glorious weather that year. We were joined by Andy, who we'd met via our summer jobs, a year or two older than us, studying at Leicester Uni, and another absolute music nut. That year, The Cramps, Pixies, The Fall, Nick Cave, Spiral Carpets, Mudhoney, The Wedding Present, Wire, Ride, an incredible weekend, and all for the princely sum of 50 quid for a weekend ticket. This year, 2024, expect to pay north of £300. Ouch. Anyway, October rolled around. The family car was loaded up with my meagre belongings, and we set out. We hit the road. It's a 6-hour drive from home to Norwich, so far too far for me to have any panicky weekend retreats. And once I'd unloaded, set my room up, that was it. One of those horrible lump in the throat goodbye waves. My little sister had tagged along for the ride and she was very upset. And that was it. I was out on my own for the first time ever in my life. And that is the essence of my choice for this year, I think. That crazy mixed up feeling of fear and freedom, excitement, uncertainty, of suddenly being amongst a new group of people and having to navigate a totally alien environment. You started with your neighbours, the rooms next door in dorms, then the same corridor. Within days, you'd found the people on your course. Within a few weeks, maybe, you'd found, a crowd, some people who you felt comfortable with. And music being one of the big drivers behind my decision to come here, the nightlife, the clubs, the gigs, that crowd began to coalesce around people like me, the people you'd see at shows, the same venues, time and time again. By sheer luck, stupendous timing really, a new venue, the fruits of a long campaign by local musicians in Norwich, had opened in October. That was the Waterfront on King Street, down by the derelict factories and railway sidings along the River Wensum. Time plays funny tricks on the memory. I remember going to a bunch of gigs in that first term, a lot of them at the Waterfront, and I thought nothing of it. But I recently managed to pull up a listing of the gigs back then and saw that 4 of those shows actually took place within a little over 2 weeks between the end of October and early November. That was The Fall, Nirvana, The New Fads, and Galaxy 500. That Nirvana show, by the way, if you've checked out the community page at any point, you will have seen a photograph I shared not too long ago where you can clearly pick me out in the mosh pit over Cobain's shoulder. Fresh-faced, mop-topped, and just in the moment. And that's what sticks with me most from that time. Meeting new people, sharing that experience of live music with them, bonding in the mosh pit, at the bar, in a crowd, in the moment. My lectures, my practicals, my seminars, not so much. But anyway, before I get ahead of myself here, a quick whip through some of the notable stuff that I had to park for this one. A couple of Kiwi killers first. This is The Chills' Submarine Bells and The Clean's phenomenal reunion album, Vehicle. Both came out this year, my introduction to Flying Nun, the Dunedin Sound, and both amazing records. From the USA, cranking up the stacks. I've already mentioned Sonic Youth and their Goo album. That was their major label debut. I seem to have mislaid my copy. But also, Fugazi's debut proper LP, Repeater, came out. And this one absolutely ripped my head off. And also, Babes in Toyland's debut album, The Caustic Pummeling. gargling fury of Spanking Machine, He's My Thing, Pain in My Heart, Dust Cake Boy, all classic garagey noise rock cuts. Also American, but here, winding everything down to a beautiful crawl. I've got Codine's Frigid Stars. I always seesaw between this one and The White Birch as my favourite, but Frigid Stars has a definite shot, I think, at being the first genuine slowcore album of the 90s. And if they're not the first, then they're certainly the slowest. Back in Blighty, The Falls, Extricate, the first post-Bricks album, and still some people's last truly great fall album. I'm not sure about that myself. Rides, Nowhere, one of the best first wave shoegaze albums, but truth be told, I think the first 4 EPs might eclipse it when taken as a whole. Your mileage may vary. Plus one more I talked about way back in the channel's early days. That's Pigeonhole by the new Fast Automatic Daffodils. Weirder than most Manchester stuff and all the better for it. Dubby, Dadaist, mutant disco pop. I still love it. Final of these, a quick mention for a one and done album. One of those cases where you never felt the need to go any further with an artist beyond one album of theirs. Here's mine. It's Ritual de lo Habitual by Jane's Addiction. It's all the addiction I need in one shot. Stop, Been Caught Stealing, 3 Days. I know others will take nothing shocking over this, but I'm not among them. So what did I go for? Something grungy? Something dreamy? Something jangly? Something spacey? Well, actually, none of the above. There's a whole slew of bands from this period, much derided nowadays, that amassed huge followings through incessant touring and a less mannered, more relatable look, attitude, sound. Kind of hard to categorise properly. Some called them the t-shirt bands, meat and potatoes, punkish indie, probably championed by DJ Steve Lamacq. I guess you could count the Wonder Stuff as the biggest of these. Pop will eat itself maybe, but Ned's Atomic Dustbin, Mega City 4, Senseless Things, they all fit the bill too. Cartoonish, down to earth, a little goofy maybe, but they all had a warmth and approachability that was endearing. And they ruled the then vibrant indie venue circuit, the toilet circuit. And one of those bands got so big in this short time frame that they actually scored a #1 hit on the UK album charts in 1992. That's the big album charts, not the indie album charts. And this is that band, but not that album. This is 101 Damnations by Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine. And I'm sure there'll be a few of you out there shaking your heads, maybe shaking your fists at this selection. Brief description for those out there unfamiliar with Carter USM, because I don't think they ever found much appeal outside the UK. Imagine the Clash meeting the Pet Shop Boys. Sieg Sieg Buzzcocks, maybe. Puns upon puns from singer and lyricist Jim Bob, a chunky punk rock guitar from Fruit Bat, and an onslaught of sequenced backing, bass, brass, synth, the lot, of drum machine, of movie and TV samples. If two guys alone on stage playing loud, socially conscious pop music sounds a little too of its time, then let me just point out Sleaford Mods whilst raising my eyebrow at you accusingly. Something of the grebo, a little of the well-meaning agit pop, music that was punkish yet light, frothy, knowing, and songs about all the ills troubling end of the 80s British society. Homelessness, suicide, abusive relationships, forgotten communities in dogshit estates, alcoholism, cold, free market economics riding roughshod over the poorest of us. I'd like to say that was all just then, back in the past, but, Carter were all about empathy. They may have lacked subtlety and rock star cool, but the records were fun and thoughtful, and their live shows were ecstatic, raucous, communal sing-alongs that belied the fact that this was basically just two guys in big shorts playing to a backing tape. You had to be there, I guess, which is kind of the point of this choice for this year. Being at a show, in the moment, surrounded by people you didn't know, and just feeling like you belonged. And that's as much justification as I'm going to offer for picking Carter. No apologies, no revisionism. They were 1990, 1991 in a nutshell. And like them or loathe them, they stood for something. They mattered. The album then, 101 Damnations, was their debut, and it would probably be between this one and 1991's 30-something if I was going to recommend just one. They had a formula and weren't tweaking anything too radically at this point. And that formula, despite, that meat and potatoes quip earlier, had a quite unexpected element to it. Very well represented, in fact, on 101 Damnations. That would be the theatrical, the social commentary of the music of Kurt Weill, or the emotionally florid chanson style of European singer-songwriters like Jacques Brel. Take the de facto opener every time a church bell rings, a roll call of suicide victims and their motivations, the dominoes that fell to move them to taking their own lives. The ending, a tolling church bell, the sound of waves of circling seagulls, a theatrical, operatic grandeur lent to the tales of ordinary people crushed by life. Or later on the taking of Peckham 123, a waltzing calliope, la 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 chorus vocals, parping synth brass, the tale of a hard life lived in a South London block of flats, the hope of a better afterlife, and the woes of a disabled war veteran in Closer, GI Blues, a twisted, inverted My Way, replete with look away borrows for the song's close. Some will just hear the cheese. Others, the ambition, the scope, an emotional appeal, using any tricks, tropes and signifiers at hand to tell a story, to connect. They're reaching for something and are prepared to throw the kitchen sink at it to extract every last ounce of drama from it. And alongside these, there are the hammering drum machine field numbers. 24 minutes from Tulse Hill, Midnight on the Murder Mile, A Perfect Day to Drop the Bomb, barreling punk numbers with a Toy Town industrial feel, rolling Dylan-esque lyrical waves, but with Spike Milligan, Pam Ayres even, rhymes and comic wordplay. It was 3 o'clock on the Murder Mile when I came to my senses, and my only death wish was that I had a sock full of 50 pences. And alongside these, of course, their breakout single, their first top 40 hit, a re-release in 1991, Sheriff Fatman. And this one nails why they were never going to make it big worldwide. Just too parochial, too many Brits-only references. Panorama, Leon C., Roger Cook, The Crossroads Motel, Nicholas Van Hoog Stratton, that's Nicholas Van What's-His-Face here. But it evokes such a sense of the time and place that put Carter where they were, singing about the scumbag landlords, chicken shops, night buses, rundown estates that were so many young people's experience of not so cool Britannia back then. Is that the 1990 that people want to remember? Maybe not, but Carter documented it better than anyone else, I think. A second chance for Carter? You decide. So then, Carter the Unstoppable Sex Machine. You were probably expecting something cooler. Sorry to disappoint. Yeah, just a year of live music for me, and the memories of going to see Carter with new friends, just a wider group of people than I'd ever been able to enjoy this music with before. That's the thing that sticks with me from 1990. I'm sure you will have vastly different opinions to mine for 1990. Please put them down below. Set me straight. As ever, well done you. You've got this far into the video. Thank you very much for watching this far. Why not give me a thumbs up? You know the drill by now. It really does help the channel. And yeah, subscriptions help too. But that's it for now. As ever, please do take care, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now.